From the way your phone unlocks just by looking at it to cars that can literally drive themselves, artificial intelligence, it's not science fiction anymore, right? It is, without a doubt, one of the most transformative technologies of our time. It's the engine behind so much of our modern world. But what is it, really? And maybe more importantly, where is it taking all of us? Okay, let's dive in and unpack this.
This right here, this was the dream. This goes all the way back to 1955, at the very birth of AI as a field. This one sentence, from what was basically the founding document of AI, laid out a vision so ambitious, well, it's pretty much what we're still chasing today. The core idea? That a machine could truly simulate human intelligence in all its messy, wonderful forms.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that original dream of thinking machines. Then we'll see how AI is working in the real world right now. After that, we have to confront the, let's call them ghosts in the machine, things like bias. We'll also look at the human cost of all this progress, and then wrap up by exploring how we, all of us, can design a smarter, safer future with this stuff. All right, so let's start at the very beginning. What exactly are we talking about when we say artificial intelligence? What's under the hood? At its heart, AI is a huge field of computer science, and it's all about building smart machines that can do things that, until now, really required a human brain. Things like solving tricky problems or making complex decisions. It's not one single thing. It's more like an entire universe of different technologies. So, how in the world do these machines actually learn? Well, the key concept here is something called machine learning, or ML. Instead of a programmer writing code for every single little rule, we just feed the system tons and tons of data. Let's say we show it 1 million pictures of cats. Eventually, it just learns to recognize a cat on its own. Now, deep learning takes that whole idea to the next level. It uses these complex neural networks, which are actually inspired by the structure of our own brains, to tackle even tougher problems, like understanding a conversation or finding one specific face in a massive crowd. And look, these ideas are not just stuck in a lab somewhere. They are already out in the wild, at work, creating some incredible benefits across pretty much every industry you can think of. Let's look at a few examples of where this is really happening. In medicine, the impact is, well, it's profound. For instance, Johnson & Johnson is using AI to create these incredibly detailed 3D maps of a patient's heart before a procedure. It can even analyze a person's unique anatomy to recommend the absolute best surgical tools for the job. This is taking a surgeon's planning time from weeks down to just a matter of days. That's a huge deal. And what about education? Well, AI is being used to create what are called intelligent tutoring systems, and they act like a personal one-on-one tutor for every single student. By tailoring the lessons and the feedback to each person's unique learning style, these systems have been shown to boost student performance by an incredible 20%. And of course, you can't talk about AI without talking about transportation. It's predicted that by 2030, there will be nearly 58 million self-driving vehicles on our roads. Think about that number. This isn't just about convenience, it is a fundamental shift in how we get around. So the potential here is clearly immense. It's exciting. But as these incredibly powerful systems learn from our world, a really critical question starts to pop up. What happens when the machine learns not just our strengths, but our flaws, and all our hidden biases too? And that brings us to one of AI's absolute biggest challenges, algorithmic bias. See, these systems are not inherently neutral or objective. Not at all. They learn from the data we feed them. And if that data reflects our own historical inequalities and prejudices, well, the AI can learn to replicate and sometimes even amplify those exact same biases. So where does this bias even come from? Well, it can start with data bias. That's the classic garbage in, garbage out problem. Or it could be algorithmic bias, where the model itself is just designed in a way that creates unfair outcomes. And then, of course, there's human bias, where the developer's own unconscious assumptions sneak in and shape how the AI behaves. And believe me, this is not just a theoretical problem. A lawsuit filed in 2023 claimed that a really popular AI hiring tool was discriminating against applicants based on their age, race, or disability. In another famous case, Twitter had to completely scrap its automatic photo cropping tool after people discovered it consistently preferred to center on white faces instead of black faces. This quote really just nails the central ethical dilemma, doesn't it? The Brookings Institution puts it perfectly. The question developers have to keep asking themselves is, could this thing we're building actually leave some people worse off?
It's a huge question of social responsibility. So, beyond bias, there's another major concern that hits a little closer to home for a lot of us: the economic impact. What does all this rapid progress actually mean for people's jobs and their livelihoods?
Yeah, the anxiety here is totally understandable. I mean, according to one forecast, as many as 1/3 of all companies are already planning to use AI to replace human jobs in 2025. This isn't some far-off distant future we're talking about. It's happening right now. So what on earth do we do about that? Well, one big idea that's gotten a lot of attention is universal basic income, or UBI, basically a guaranteed income for everyone. On one hand, supporters see it as a crucial safety net in an age of automation. But on the other hand, critics worry that it might just be a band-aid, one that covers up deeper issues of inequality, shifting our focus away from the harder work of really changing how power and resources are distributed in our society.
So, yeah, the challenges are very real, but the story absolutely does not end there. We are not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution. We are the architects. So, let's talk about how we can actually build a better, smarter, and safer future. The good news is we're not starting from scratch here. We already have some really powerful regulatory frameworks in place. You've got laws like FERPA in education, HIPAA in healthcare, and the big one, GDPR in Europe. These all provide a solid foundation for data privacy and accountability. And those same principles can and absolutely must be applied to the massive amounts of data that AI systems are built on. And we're also developing brand new tools specifically to tackle these challenges. Some of the key strategies are things like strong data governance, so we know exactly how our data is being used. Then there's something called algorithmic auditing. Now, you can think of that like a safety inspection for code. Experts basically stress test the AI to find hidden biases and check if it produces fair outcomes for everybody before it ever gets released into the real world. And maybe most important of all, it really starts with a conscious effort to collect diverse data from the beginning, so that the AI learns from a picture of the world we want to live in, not just the one we happen to have.
So where does that leave us? I want to end with this thought from computer scientist Pedro Domingos because I think it's brilliant. He says people worry that computers will get too smart and take over the world. But the real problem is that they're too stupid and they've already taken over the world. Maybe the immediate threat isn't some sci-fi superintelligence. Maybe the real present-day problem is the flawed, biased, and relatively simple AI that's already shaping our lives in ways we don't fully see or understand. And that is the challenge right in front of us. And you know what? It's one we actually have the power to solve.